Hello everyone, welcome to CodeSoft. In this video, we are going to talk about the having clause in SQL. So let's get started. So the having clause enables you to specify conditions that filter which group results appear in the results. Okay, so what does this mean is that suppose you are applying the group by on a particular field and there are certain subgroups created, right? Now you want to apply conditions on those specific subgroups, then in that case you can use the having clause. Now this is very different if we talk in respect to the where clause, right? You would be saying that both of them are actually used to give conditions, but yes, there is a slight difference between them. So let's talk about the difference. So having clause is actually used to provide conditions on the subgroups that are created in a particular field, right? But if we talk about the where clause applies conditions on the entire row or in the entire field or column on which we are selecting, right? So there is no use of group by statement if we use the where clause with it, because where clause will not see groups, it will just apply the condition on the whole column. Whereas having clause will take into account of the several groups that are created using group by command, and then it will apply those conditions. So having clause is specifically used with the group by command, but where command or clause is used to apply conditions on the entire field that we are selecting. Now let's look at some queries that are related to the group by and having clause. So this is the same table that we have been using in the entire video series. So again, just giving a brief, this has 4 columns of students who are enrolled in a college. The fields are name, student ID, subject and subject marks. And there are 5 records of different students, right? So let's look at the first query. So the question says that we have to find out that what is the total number of marks scored for each subject. Now you can see in this table that for like there are more than one rows for each subject. So if I talk about programming, so Jack is also giving the exam of programming and Chris is also giving the exam of programming. So the total marks of programming becomes 81 from Jack and 91 from Chris. That equals to 172, right? Similarly, there are other subgroups also created. So you can see we are actually grouping those, we are grouping different subjects and creating smaller groups inside the subject column. So you can clearly see that group by command will be used. Now, if I talk about what will be the sample output, so this will be the sample output. The programming will have 172 total marks, DBMS will be having 162 marks, and similarly circuits will have 73 because only one student is enrolled in it. So let's just talk about the query of this. Let's go to our online editor. So I have already created the table that we just saw in the slide. So if I just start writing the query, so first thing is I have to select something, right? Now what exactly do I have to select? First thing is that I have to select the subject column, because if we talk about this table, we need to print two things, that is subject and second is sum of marks, right? So we just need to do sum of marks. So sum is basically an aggregate function that works on certain fields, and we just need to select this from student table. Now we have to group our table, and we just need to group by subject, because we are actually creating smaller groups inside subject. And you can clearly see the expected output is coming. So what we are doing, we are just making subgroups inside subject, and all those rows that are present for that subgroup in the table, we are just adding the sum column of that. So this is how the group by command is working. Now let's just see the query. So this is the same that we just wrote on the online editor. Now next query says that find out the subjects whose total sum of marks is greater than 100. Now you can see that at a condition is being given that the sum of the marks should be greater than 100, and we need to find all those subjects. So if I just show you the sample output, this is programming and DBMS, and circuits have been removed because the total sum of marks of circuit was 73. So here you can see we will require group by clause to actually group this different subjects. and to print the total sum of marks for that subject, right? And after that, we need to apply a condition that the total sum of marks should be greater than 100. So you can see that the condition is applied after the group by statement. So here where clause will not work for the condition because groups have already been made, and the where clause does not work with groups. So here we will use the having clause. So if I just go back to my online editor and just add the condition that we just saw is that we need to select subject comma sum of marks from student, and we need to group them by subject having the sum of marks greater than 100. And that's all we just have to do, and you can clearly see that the expected output is coming. So you can see this is how much easy, right? We just need to add a small statement to add the condition. And if I just look at the query, this is same that we wrote on the online editor. Now let's look at the next question. It says that we need to print the name of the subjects which is having less than two students enrolled in it, right? Now we need to apply a condition, and first we need to group the table with the subject column because we are actually making subgroups of subject and then counting the students that are present in it, and thereby applying condition that any subject that is having more than two or equal to two students in it, we will just remove that row and we will only apply the column that is having one student enrolled in it. So if I just show you the sample output, it says only circuits, because you know that in programming and DBMS, there are two students enrolled in each. So let's just write the query of this on the online editor. So let me just remove this previous query that we just saw. So here, first thing we have to see that what we need to select. So in the question itself, it is clear we have to select the subject that is having less than two students. So we will just select the subject from table students. So the student table we are talking about. Now after that, we need to group them by by subject because we actually want to know that how much student are present in each subject, right? After that, we just once we have actually created the subgroups, we just need to check that how many students are present in those subgroups and whether the count of the students is less than two or not. So we just need to do having count of, and we just need to write the count of, let's say anything, we can just take count star also, right? We are having count star less than 2. So I think this should easily work. And you can see the expected output of circuits is coming. So just briefing you again, what we are doing, we are selecting subject from student table and we are grouping subject also. So after this much statement, three groups will be present. One is circuits, one is programming, and one is DBMS, right? After that, we are just checking that count star of each subject is less than 2 or not, right? Now here again we are using the having clause because where clause does not see the groups. If groups will not be present, then the computer will not be able to know that what exactly is the count of each subject, right? So for knowing that, we need to apply the group by statement. So this is the query. And if I show you the output in this query, you can see, yes, this is the required output. Select subject from student, group by subject having count star less than 2. So that's all with this video. I hope the concept of group by and having is clear till now. We have talked about a lot of examples and we will be looking into more commands and examples in the upcoming videos. So stay tuned to add more festoons into your knowledge garland. Until then, keep subscribing. Thank you.